This is the early evening, I guess. Well, it's the very late afternoon. It's 20 to 5. Article on The Guardian, written by Martin Pengelly, Pengelly, published on the 29th. You see a photograph of this guy with the squash looking face and the puffy cheeks. You know, the guy that thought that when he was younger he thought he was gay. That's J D Vance. Trump couldn't have picked a worse VP, you know? J D Vance calls Trump morally reprehensible in resurfaced emails. Former friend releases messages largely from 2014 to 2017, in which Republican VP nominee also says, quote, "I hate the police." Yeah, this is a guy you want as vice president. J D Vance speaks with media gathered outside the Park Diner on Sunday in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Questions continue to mount about the political transformation of Donald Trump's running mates. What kind of vetting did Trump do on this guy, huh? I think his ego probably decided to select him because of the hatred that Vance once had for him, and then he did a conversion. That just shows you how messed up Trump is. After the release of emails from a former friend in which Vance called Trump a morally reprehensible human being and said, quote, "I hate the police," end of quote. The message between Vance and Sophia Nelson, who sent them to the New York Times, were largely dated between 2014 and 2017. In one, Vance sent Nelson a section of Hillbilly Elegy, his bestseller about his Appalachian boyhood. You mean where he thought that he was queer? He only had men friends, no girlfriends? I think he's a pipe smoker. That's why he has that beard. Here's an excerpt from the book. I sent this to you not just to brag, but because I'm sure if you read it, you'll notice reference to an extremely progressive lesbian, Vance wrote. I recognize now that this may actually reflect how you feel of yourself, and for that I am really sorry. I hope you're not offended, but if you are, I'm sorry. I love you, J.D. Nelson answered, if you had written genderqueer radical pragmatist, nobody would know what you mean. Nelson told the Times that after his transition-related surgery, Vance brought baked goods and expressed support. So, I guess when he had his dick turned inside out, Vance brought baked goods and expressed support, huh? The content of the conversation was, I don't understand what you're doing, but I support you, he explained. And that meant a lot to me at the time because I think that was the foundation of our friendship. How many transgender friends do you have? I have none because I think that they're mentally unbalanced. Vance last year introduced a bill, the Protect Children's Innocence Act, to ban minors from accessing puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and other transition-related medical care. His remarks to Nelson about Trump seem to follow a similar pattern of support for positions he has since come to reject totally, an issue that has dogged Vance's introduction as Trump's running mates at the Republican convention this month. He has previously called Trump America's Hitler and cultural heroin. And in one of the emails from 2016, Vance told Nelson, the more white people feel like voting for Trump, the more black people will suffer. I really believe that. He also called Trump a disaster and a bad man. Later, after Trump beat Hillary Clinton, Vance told Nelson he was deeply pessimistic. Bad polling, awkward speeches, and Democrats seizing on Vance's misogynist remarks about women without children, whom he called cat ladies, have spurred some report that high-profile Republicans view Trump's pick as a mistake. That's an understatement. A spokesman said Senator Vance has been open about the fact that some of his views from a decade ago began to change. A decade ago? 217 to 224 isn't a decade ago. began to change after becoming a dad and starting a family. He has thoroughly explained why he changed his mind on President Trump. Despite the disagreements, Senator Vance cares for Sophia and wishes Sophia the very best. How can you wish someone that transitioned, who's obviously mentally unbalanced, the very best? But Nelson's email showed Vance voicing other options starkly at odds with Trump's views. In 2014, after the killing of Michael Brown, a young black man from Ferguson, Missouri, Vance wrote, "I hate the police. Given the number of negative experiences I've had in the past few years, I can't imagine what a black man goes through." I'd like to know what those negative experiences he's had are all about. Maybe he got arrested at a fag bar. Vance and Nelson also discussed reparations and the flying of Confederate flags. "I think your only liberal friend with whom I talk openly about politics on a deeper sense," Vance wrote. In 2015, as Trump homed in on the Republican nomination, Vance discussed the real estate magnate and reality TV star appeal. Quote, "If you're looking at the polling, the issue where Trump gets most support is on the economy," Vance said. "If the response of the media and the elitists of both right and left are just say, look at those dumb racists supporting Trump, then they're never going to learn the most important lesson of Trump's candidacy. If he would just tone down the racism, I would literally be his biggest supporter." Vance also said he was outraged at Trump's rhetoric, "and I worry most of all about how welcome Muslim citizens feel in their own country." This isn't their own country. "And there has always been demagogues willing to exploit the people who believe crazy shit. What seems different to me is that the Republican Party offers nothing that's as attractive as a demagogue. So why do you want to be part of the Republican Party if you think that they offer nothing that is attractive?" By 2021, though, Vance was exploring the entry into Republican politics. The message revealed that he and Nelson disagreed about transgender issues, particularly relating to children. Nelson wrote, "I know I can't change your mind, but the political voice you have become seems so far from the man I got to know in law school. I will always love you, but I really do think the left's culture of progressivism is making it harder for normal people to live their lives," Vance replied. I can't even begin to imagine how dumb Trump was to pick this freak, which is what he is. He's an absolute freak. I'll attach the link. I did all kinds of videos on the Michael Brown killing. Both he and one of his buddies robbed a cigar store, and a policeman saw them walking, and he tried to stop them, and Michael Brown bum rushed the police officers to try to grab his gun. They found his DNA on the sheriff's holster where Michael Brown reached in, and the sheriff wasted him. And then the blacks burnt down pretty much most of Ferguson. And Ferguson's stepfather said, "Burn the bitch down." And the blacks burned the bitch down. You can't make this stuff up. I'll attach the link. Let me know what you think. And once again, how many mentally retarded transgender friends do you have? I have none. Why? Because they're mentally unbalanced. That's why. I'll attach the link, pass it along, and thanks for listening.